Hey everyone, this is going to be the first part of my multiple uses for everyday items, and on this I'm using just plain vinegar and water and newspaper. Here's my newspaper, and I just used an empty spray bottle. I filled it with 3 parts vinegar to 1 part water. Now, I don't know if you can tell the difference. This is half the window that I've already cleaned. This is the other half. Let's see. I'm doing this on my phone, so bear with me, please. I'm going to go ahead and prove to you that that's all I used to clean that part by cleaning this other part with the vinegar and water. Again, I have vinegar and water. I don't buy Windex or Glass Plus or any of that because 1, it's so expensive, and 2, because vinegar and water does not leave streaks. And it never fails. Every time I get Glass Plus or something like that, it streaks on me. So I use vinegar and water. Hang on, I gotta wad this up. Oh, I use vinegar and water on my windows, on my mirrors, I wouldn't recommend it on plasma TV screens just because they are so delicate. So I would use an alternative for that. And you may have to spray this a couple of times if your windows were as dirty as mine. But these are off of my deck, and with the way the wind blows, especially when the wind is out of the south like it has been, at anywhere from 35 mile an hour to 60 mile an hour, they get pretty dirty. All right. Now, there's my window now. Can you definitely tell the difference like I can? Anyway, that's why I use vinegar and water. Much cheaper. Obviously, we all get newspapers, and we get the inserts out, and then we recycle the rest of the newspaper. Well, now you can clean your windows and your glass with it, with some vinegar and water. Now, when I'm doing the inside mirrors or the inside of the windows at my house, I use like half and half. Half vinegar, half water. I will not use the 3/4 to 1 just because the vinegar smell is so overbearing. So yeah, that's the first part of my vinegar one. Hope that you start using it too. Anyway, I'll see you on the next part. Bye. Hey everyone, here's another part to my vinegar and baking soda video. What I do, and I know this is weird, I'm looking over my toilet. Yes, please don't drop the phone in it. What I do is, instead of buying liquid plumber or Drano or something like that, because that crap is expensive and I don't like paying that, I just use maintenance on my commode or toilet or whatever you want to call it, and my sinks by using baking soda. Let's see if I can get a hold of this real quick. And plain old white vinegar. Yeah. And then also hot water. What I do is I sprinkle some baking soda in there. Now, the next part, and if you've ever done a volcano for kids for school or whatever, you might have tried this. The next part is the vinegar. Now, I don't recommend just pouring a whole bunch in. I always do a little bit at a time because you'll see the reaction. And as you pour the vinegar, it goes down into the pipes and stuff, and it cleans them out. So then from there, what I do is I go ahead and I flush. I know, this is so bizarre having my phone and video over my toilet. I can't even tell you. And then I take a half a gallon of hot water and pour it in there. And then I flush again. and that goes down into the pipe. The hot water helps to loosen up any gunk that's in the pipes and stuff like that. I do the same with my sinks, and I'll show you a part to that in just a second. Okay, so now we're back into my kitchen. I have porcelain sinks in my kitchen. And as you can tell, when you put pans and stuff in there, they kind of leave these scratched-looking marks. I don't like that. So if you look at this side, I have used baking soda on it. And I'm going to prove that to you. Here's baking soda. I put it on there pretty liberally. And I kind of let it sit for just a little bit usually. But I use just this little scrubber brush thing. And I get it wet, and it's not wet. So sorry. Okay. Put that back up there. And it takes a little bit of elbow grease. But, you know, anything that we do as far as cleaning goes, we usually do have to apply some elbow grease. So it takes a little bit, so I apologize for this part being really long. I may not be able to put all of this in there. I just wanted to show you a part. And then I'll have to come back and scrub those places out afterward, if I don't get them all now. All right. I'll come back after that one because I don't like scrubbing upward. I use baking soda a lot in a lot of different things. When I get stains on clothing, or my son does, or my husband does, I like to make a paste out of baking soda and the laundry soap that I'm using, whatever laundry soap it is, unless you're using a powder. And then if you're using a powder, that's a different monster there. So I'll explain that one at a later video. But I make a paste out of the baking soda and the laundry soap. Then I put it on the stain, and I let it sit until it dries. Once it dries, I just launder it like normal. It will take the stain out, I promise you. My husband is a welder by trade, and he comes home pretty dirty from work. So there's a lot of times I have to use a lot of baking soda. So anytime I can catch it on sale, because we don't usually get coupons for that, anytime I catch it on sale, I pick up a lot. All right. And obviously you want to rinse. And I rinse with really hot water. It gets all the baking soda out. Now, it's not all the way done, but you can see a huge difference. Okay, now, to keep the sink pipes cleaned out really well, what I always do is, about once every 2 to 3 weeks, I guess, I get my baking soda out, and I put it down in there. And these are super old sinks. So I live in a really old house, though. I live in a house that's 72 years old, built in 1940, and I really enjoy it. Okay, so I put quite a bit down in there, but I want a lot to go down into the pipes. So again, I have my plain old white vinegar, and I do the same thing as I did to the toilet. I pour it down in there, and you want to be careful because you don't want any of this stuff to back up and come back up and out of the sink. And it will bubble its way down into your pipes, and then while it does it, it removes crud. Now, you can buy the stuff over the counter that's not necessarily the liquid plumber, but like the CLR that removes hard water stains. This stuff works just as well. So I don't pay that money. I don't get that stuff. And yeah, I go through a lot of vinegar, but it's most certainly worth it because it's a much cheaper cleaner, and they're so versatile. It's so much cheaper than buying those expensive cleaners. Next, I'm going to show you how I clean my rings. So, I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so now we're going to clean my rings. I don't know if you can see it real clearly. Let me see. See, my band is pretty dirty. Or to me it is anyway. So, what I do is I take my white vinegar, which I poured into this bowl, And I let my ring set just a little bit while I talk to you about something else. I bought this several years ago at Walmart, and I still use this container now, but now I have white vinegar in it. This stuff will not clean your jewelry as well as, especially when it comes to diamonds, as well as vinegar will. This stuff will leave a haze on diamonds. So I kept this and started putting vinegar in it, and that's what I use to clean my rings. Because it's got this handy little tray here, and then it's got this little brush. However, today what I'm going to do, because a lot of people won't have one of those, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to use just a plain bowl, pour my white vinegar in there, and use an old toothbrush. It's set for a little bit. I wet my toothbrush, and then I just scrub the outside of my ring. And you don't want to do it real hard like you're trying to scrub your bathtub or something, because you don't want to loosen any of the stones in your jewelry. And then I flip it over, and I scrub the inside. Again, you don't want to be too hard on it, because you don't want to loosen any of the stones in your settings. Then I do the sides of my top mount so that I make sure I get the underneath of my diamonds. And the reason that I use vinegar is because vinegar will eat away junk, like dirt or any kind of buildup. It eats it away. I don't use baking soda on my jewelry, which I don't recommend anyone to use on their jewelry, just plain vinegar. Then, when I'm finished with that, I rinse it really well. Another thing you can do with baking soda is someone spilled something on your carpet. Now you have a stain. Put a little baking soda on it and add just a little bit of water to it. You don't want to make a thick paste out of it. Oh, and then I dried my ring. You don't want to make a thick paste out of it because then it's a mess to get out. But put a little bit on there, sprinkle it on, then heat it a little bit, just a little bit, with an iron using steam. That will help the fibers open up a little bit and the stain to release, and the baking soda, or you can use cornstarch, will pull the stain out of your carpet. And then you just vacuum like normal. Here's the end result of my ring. Let's see. Let me pick my phone up so you can see it better. There is the end result of my ring. Much cleaner, much prettier. So yeah, plain white vinegar and a toothbrush. Who knew? Anyway, everybody have a great day and a glorious tomorrow. Bye. Okay, so I'm in this bathroom again with this filthy floor. So I am going to, the first part of this, I'm going to sprinkle the baking soda on there. And then I'm going to spray it really good with vinegar and water. And that will draw out all of this crud, making it easier to scrub, instead of using something like scrubbing bubbles or bleach cleaner or anything like that. These things are much gentler on the skin also than a bleach cleaner or something like that. I also need to scrub this wall, apparently. I'm looking at that now. Okay, so you're going to sprinkle it on there. And then I'll spray from the side over here because that will force it to go up in there and bubble it out. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit more baking soda into those areas that I couldn't sprinkle it into just a second ago. And yes, that seems like a lot, but it's really not in comparison to all the crud that's down in there. Okay, so when I get ready to scrub it, I'll come back with the next part. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm back. I partially did a little bit of scrubbing here. See the difference there? And all I did was, again, use the baking soda and the vinegar. Some of this that's on here is old grout, and I don't remember ever seeing that being that bad. But at any rate, that kind of loosens up off that old grout too. Again, I live in a super old home, and this old fine linoleum floor, yeah, what do you say? One of these days, the house will get redone. So I'm scrubbing with just a toothbrush along those edges that this brush can't reach because it's not one of those pointed ones. So yeah, that's all it is, and you can see how it makes a tremendous difference in the before and the after. I mean, when you look at the video from before and then you see this, yeah, it takes a little bit of elbow grease, but you're not going to have to get down here and do this every week or something like that. Normally I come in and clean the floors and stuff at least once a week. This bathroom, again, is off of a mudroom in our home, and it's just not too far off the deck. So, yeah, a lot of times I'll leave the sliding glass door open, and dust and dirt blows in, and there you have it. So now I'm going to go ahead, finish up this one, and finish up cleaning up this grout here, and then finish the rest of the floor, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.